Well, that's what he made all of us say again last night in this one, Brian.
I don't think he was impressed with the Lakers' defensive strategy in this game.
25 points in the first quarter.
Strategy or roster?
That is the most by a Spurs player in any quarter since 97-98.
On February 10th, 2026, Victor Wembanyama lit up the Lakers, dropping 40 points in just 26 minutes while sitting out the entire fourth quarter. That kind of stat doesn't come around often. Only 5 players in the whole shot clock era have ever done it in that little time. The Spurs now stand at 37-16, sitting near the top of the Western Conference, which is a huge leap from finishing 13th just one season ago. Wembanyama's putting up monster numbers, averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks per game, all in under 30 minutes.
Last night, I loved it, if you caught it. He said, you gotta have the greed. Here's a young player, and to Malika's point, hey, Lakers had a lot of guys out. You got to have the greed. Warriors, no Jimmy Butler, no Steph Curry. You got to have the greed.
He's locking down both ends of the court like a player who's been dominating for years. This doesn't look like a lucky stretch. It's starting to feel like the rise of a new Spurs dynasty built around a generational big man. Still, there's more to the story. The Lakers were missing half their roster that night. No LeBron James, no Luka Doncic, no Austin Reeves, no Marcus Smart, and even DeAnthony Melton was a last-minute scratch. That's important context. A flashy February blowout doesn't define greatness. Championships and legacies are built over time, not in a single game. The smarter way to look at it is by stepping back and asking what this performance really says about Wembanyama's growth and direction.
Playing bully ball. He's stronger, he's figured it out, and the league is in trouble.
Performance in his opening game.
Wembanyama, the save, the reverse, and the foul.
What does it reveal about where he's heading next, beyond just how unstoppable he looked that night? This wasn't just another high-scoring game, it was a moment that told a story about confidence, control, and maturity on the court. When you dive deeper into the numbers, one stat jumps off the page. Across the entire shot clock era, only 5 players have ever dropped 40 or more points in 26 minutes or less. That's not just rare, it's historic. And Wembanyama didn't just score, he dominated the glass too, joining Patrick Ewing as one of the only players to ever record a 40-point, 12-rebound stat line in such limited minutes. That kind of efficiency and impact doesn't happen by accident. It's the sign of someone rewriting the rules of how big men play in today's league. After the game, Lakers coach J.J. Redick couldn't help but point it out. He said it was the most assertive and confident start he'd seen from Wembanyama all season. Redick explained, he was very aggressive to start the game, as aggressive as I've seen him all year, both driving to the rim and pulling up from 3. It wasn't just skill on display, it was attitude, the kind that defines future MVPs. Later, Wembanyama admitted he actually wanted to stay on the floor longer. He felt responsible for keeping the energy alive and setting the tone for his teammates. That level of self-awareness says everything about where his mindset is heading. Earlier this season, the Spurs had a habit of playing down to weaker or short-handed teams, letting games get sloppy. This time, Wembanyama refused to let that happen. The numbers show what he's capable of, but his intent shows what drives him. And that difference, the hunger to dominate every possession, is what turns rising stars into true legends. This is only Wembanyama's 3rd season in the league. Yet he already draws double teams, carries major weight on both ends of the court, and dictates how the Spurs play winning basketball. That alone says everything about how fast he's evolving into the face of the franchise. He's not just fitting into a system, he's becoming the system. His explosion against Los Angeles didn't look like one of those lucky nights where everything just falls his way. It looked like control, like a player who knows he can flip the switch whenever he wants. When you take a step back, the full story becomes clear. San Antonio's record now sits at 37-16, a massive leap from finishing 13th in the West just a season ago. The difference isn't luck or schedule, it's leadership, and it starts with Wembanyama. Teams don't make that kind of turnaround without a real cornerstone, someone who completely changes how the game is played. Wembanyama is that player. The stats confirm it. Around 24 points, 11 rebounds, nearly 3 assists, close to 3 blocks, and a steal per night. All while staying efficient and rarely crossing the 30-minute mark. That's production at a superstar level without needing superstar minutes. He leads the Spurs in both scoring and rebounding while controlling the paint like a wall. But what really stands out is how his impact stretches far beyond the box score. When he's on the floor, the entire rhythm of the game changes. Defenses collapse, rotations shift, and opponents are forced to rethink their game plans on the fly. They can't guard him like a traditional big, he's too skilled, but he's not a wing either. His size and reach break every matchup scheme. Wembanyama's presence alone bends the court in ways most players never will. It's not just about numbers, it's about gravity, control, and the growing realization that he might already be one of the most complete players in the league. Defenses treat Wembanyama like a problem they'd rather not deal with at all. The young guards run the tempo, the wings handle spacing and defense, but everything ties back to that anchor in the paint. He's the glue that connects every part of the Spurs system. His block numbers might look crazy on paper, but they only tell part of the story. What really matters is how his presence completely changes how opponents play. Averaging nearly 3 blocks per game gets headlines, sure, but his true power shows in the fear he creates. Players think twice before driving to the rim, shots get adjusted mid-air, and opposing coaches have to redraw entire offensive sets mid-game. Even on plays where he doesn't get a block, you can feel him there. Every possession seems to twist around his position, as if he's bending the court itself. That kind of unseen control is what separates a good defender from a real game changer. His size gives him reach, but it's his timing and instincts that make him different. He reacts fast, reads plays before they unfold, and moves smoother than most 7-footers ever could. Still, when he's not fully locked in, cracks start to show. Earlier this season, the Suns exposed that gap, holding him to just 9 points on 4 for 14 shooting while forcing 6 turnovers. They didn't just defend him, they disrupted his rhythm, hit him physically, and threw him off his comfort spots. That game was a reminder that even rising stars have off nights, but it also showed something deeper. Every time teams find a weakness, he studies it, adjusts, and comes back sharper. That's what made his explosion against Los Angeles so meaningful. It wasn't just dominance, it was proof of growth. He learned, adapted, and turned lessons from past struggles into a statement game. What makes it even more fascinating is that this is exactly what scouts said about him before the 2023 draft. Raw potential with an advanced basketball mind. Now, just a few seasons later, those early predictions look almost conservative. Wembanyama's leap this year feels like the natural evolution of a player who was already breaking limits as a rookie. And the scary part is, he's still only getting started. In his rookie season, Wembanyama averaged 21.4 points, 10.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 3.6 blocks per game over 71 appearances, locking up Rookie of the Year with ease. There wasn't even a real debate. He ran away with it. What made it even crazier was the history he created along the way. He became the first player ever in NBA history to rack up at least 300 rebounds, 250 blocks, and 100 made threes in a single season, blending rim protection and shooting like no one before him. He joined an elite circle too, just one of 4 rookies since the NBA-ABA merger, to average at least 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game, standing right alongside legends like Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, and Alonzo Mourning. That's not just solid company. That's the kind of list built for Hall of Famers. But the numbers didn't stop there. He also became one of only 6 players in league history to average 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks across a full season. That's production most stars can't even dream of, and he pulled it off in his very first year. 43 double-doubles, 2 triple-doubles, and a season full of moments that showed this wasn't luck. It was the foundation of something built to last. Wembanyama didn't just meet expectations, he shattered them, proving that his combination of skill, size, and basketball IQ is already reshaping what it means to be a modern big man. Those kinds of stats usually belong to legends deep into their prime, not to a first-year player still learning the rhythm of the league. That's what makes this moment so unique for San Antonio. It's not just about numbers, it's about history repeating itself in a new form. The Spurs have always built their identity around generational big men who defined entire eras and kept the franchise steady through every shift in the NBA. Back in the 90s, David Robinson was the face of that identity. He turned the Spurs from a good team into a real contender, winning MVP in 1995 while collecting all NBA and all defensive honors like clockwork. His mix of athleticism, intelligence, and leadership became the foundation for the franchise's first championships in 1999 and 2003. Robinson wasn't just a star, he was the blueprint for what a modern big man could be. Then came Tim Duncan, who took that structure and turned it into a dynasty. Between 1999 and 2014, Duncan led the Spurs to 5 championships with a style built on quiet dominance, elite defense, perfect fundamentals, and total trust in team basketball. Around him, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili became the heart of a culture that made winning look effortless. Later, Kawhi Leonard carried the torch, growing from a calm, defense-first role player into a finals MVP, who embodied that same Spurs DNA of discipline and impact. Every successful era in San Antonio's history has started the same way, with a transformative big man who reshapes everything from the paint outward. And now, it feels like the next great chapter has already begun. Wembanyama blends elements from every legend who came before him. He's got Robinson's defensive instincts and shot-blocking command, Duncan's patience and leadership, and a modern skill set that fits today's fast, wide-open game. He can handle the ball like a guard, shoot from deep with confidence, and stretch defenses until they break. On defense, his recovery speed on the weak side erases mistakes before opponents even realize they had an opening. It's like watching the past and the future merge in one player, a new version of the Spurs tradition, built for a different era, but powered by the same core principle: dominance from the inside out. Wembanyama feels like a perfect blend of the Spurs' historic greatness and the NBA's evolving future, all wrapped into one player. He carries the old-school foundation of dominance in the paint, but adds the modern edge of skill, movement, and versatility that defines today's game. The difference this time is how he's being developed. Unlike David Robinson and Tim Duncan, who stepped into veteran-heavy teams with strict systems already in place, Wembanyama is the system. The Spurs aren't asking him to adapt, they're building everything around him from the ground up, matching every move to his timeline and potential. That's what makes the question on everyone's mind so fascinating. Could this really be the start of another Spurs dynasty, one that mirrors the Duncan era, but with a new twist? When you look at what's already happening, the signs are hard to ignore. He's over 7 feet tall, yet moves like a wing. Fluid, coordinated, and explosive. He can score from anywhere, hitting threes, attacking off the dribble, finishing through traffic, or stretching defenses until they collapse. On the other end, he's just as dominant, reading plays and controlling space like a veteran. Players with that level of two-way command don't just make noise, they define eras. That's the kind of profile that puts names in both the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year conversations at the same time. And for Wembanyama, it's starting to feel less like hype and more like a preview of what's coming. Then there's the Spurs organization itself, one of the most stable and well-run franchises in all of sports. Few teams have ever matched San Antonio's level of consistency. Decades of smart roster building, patient player development, and an unwillingness to chase every flashy trend have kept them grounded while the rest of the league swings between extremes. That calm, disciplined culture once turned Tim Duncan into the foundation of a dynasty, and now it's setting the stage to do the same for Victor Wembanyama. The results are already visible. Just a season ago, this was a team buried in the lottery, scraping for wins and building toward the future. Now they're sitting near the top of the Western Conference, competing with seasoned contenders. That kind of rise doesn't happen by accident. It's proof that the Spurs don't rebuild like everyone else. They reload around players who redefine what franchise cornerstone really means. Jumping from the bottom of the standings to legitimate contention in only 2 seasons almost never happens without leadership that goes beyond numbers. It's not just about talent, it's about the mentality that drives it. In that game against the Lakers, what stood out most wasn't just Wembanyama's stat line, it was his edge. The urgency in how he played, the refusal to coast, the push to dominate instead of just being good enough. That's the difference between a highlight and a habit. Greatness isn't loud or lucky. It's built through moments like these, where drive and discipline start to shape the next era of winning basketball in San Antonio. Looking forward, the projection for Wembanyama's future feels both clear and realistic. If his health holds up, MVP-caliber seasons aren't just possible, they're expected. The numbers, the consistency, and the defensive command already point that way. Regular all-defensive team honors seem almost certain, and yearly Defensive Player of the Year consideration feels like it's already within reach. His impact is so complete that just having him on the floor changes the standard. Suddenly, 50-plus wins and deep playoff runs become the new baseline for San Antonio. Every postseason series the Spurs play from here on out will carry his imprint on both ends of the court. Still, even a generational player can't build a dynasty alone. That's the one constant that history never forgets. The next step for San Antonio is about building the right cast around him, guards who can handle pressure, create shots, and move the offense with precision, wings who can defend, shoot, and keep spacing alive, and a front office that stays patient enough to let chemistry grow naturally instead of rushing the process. Every great era in Spurs history followed that same exact formula: balance, timing, and trust. Robinson had it, Duncan had it, and now the blueprint is right there for Wembanyama to follow, with a modern twist fit for today's NBA. If those elements come together again, the night he dominated the Lakers will go down as more than just a highlight. It'll be remembered as the moment everything shifted. Not because of who sat out for Los Angeles or the size of the score gap, but because it symbolized something bigger. The rebirth of the Spurs' championship identity, rebuilt around a new centerpiece who has the potential to define an entire era of basketball in San Antonio. This Spurs roster already sits near the top of the Western Conference, built on a foundation that feels both familiar and promising for anyone who knows the franchise's DNA. The question now isn't whether San Antonio has something special, it's how well they can keep building around it. History says they know how to do this. The same patience, structure, and trust that carried the Robinson and Duncan eras could be resurfacing again, pointing toward the start of another long run of contention. That February night against the Lakers wasn't just a hot streak or a lucky matchup, it was a message. A 21-year-old in his third season took over a game with full control, not just scoring 40 points in 26 minutes, but commanding the moment like it belonged to him. It wasn't about chasing numbers or putting on a show. It was about leadership, focus, and setting the standard for what Spurs basketball looks like again. His potential doesn't feel capped at an all-star or even an all-NBA level. It feels dynasty tier, the kind that can anchor a franchise for a decade or more. Think back to David Robinson, elite rim protection, steady production, and MVP-level consistency that built a championship foundation. Then think about Tim Duncan, 2 decades of 50-win seasons, banners hanging from the rafters, and the quiet dominance that defined an entire culture. Now, Wembanyama looks like the bridge between those eras, a player who carries the tradition of greatness while rewriting it for a faster, more modern NBA. If San Antonio keeps surrounding him with the right balance of talent and patience, this could be the beginning of something that echoes those glory years all over again. Wembanyama is starting to show flashes of both Robinson and Duncan, and he's only 21 years old. The Spurs' 37-16 record isn't some product of luck or a few nights of hot shooting. It's the clear sign of a true franchise anchor lifting everyone around him. You can see his influence everywhere, in the way defenses shift their entire strategy to slow him down, in how his teammates play with more confidence beside him, and in how the coaching staff builds every scheme with him at the center. This surge isn't temporary. It feels like the start of something built to last. The comparisons to David Robinson fit perfectly. A 7-foot-plus defensive monster, an MVP-caliber presence, and the kind of leader who commands both ends of the court. He's the new version of that same franchise cornerstone. Someone who defines how the team defends and wins. The Tim Duncan comparisons make sense too. The calm authority, the consistency, and the ability to make everyone better just by being there. Both players built eras defined by discipline and control, and Wembanyama is carrying that same torch forward. But what sets him apart is the evolution he brings. Wembanyama adds a layer neither Robinson nor Duncan had, a modern perimeter skill set that stretches the game in every direction. He's comfortable firing threes, dribbling in open space, and creating shots like a wing. That blend of height and fluidity breaks the rules of traditional basketball. The NBA has changed dramatically since the early 2000s. Spacing rules everything now. Speed, switching, and versatility define elite teams. Yet here comes a 7'4" center who forces defenses to guard the three-point line, protect the rim, and still prepare for him to lead fast breaks himself. That kind of pressure didn't exist in Robinson's or Duncan's eras, and it's exactly why this version of the Spurs feels like the most dangerous evolution yet. The Lakers game made everything crystal clear. From the opening tip, Wembanyama played like he owned the court, attacking early, shooting with total confidence, and challenging defenders at the rim without hesitation. Every possession felt like a statement. He dropped 40 points in just 26 minutes, then spent the entire fourth quarter on the bench because the job was already done. That night didn't feel like a random breakout. It looked like a preview of what's coming next. At this point, the question isn't whether Wembanyama is capable of leading a contender. The Spurs' 37-16 record already answers that. The real question is whether the organization can build the right championship structure around him the way they once did for David Robinson and Tim Duncan. That's the true test of this new era. Can they find the next Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili for this generation? Guards who create, adapt, and grow beside their star? Can they develop wings who defend multiple positions, stretch the floor, and elevate their play off his gravity? And can they stay disciplined enough to be patient while still competing at the top of the conference? Those are the pieces that turn potential into legacy. If San Antonio gets those answers right, that February night against the Lakers will be remembered for more than just the stat line. It'll stand as the moment everything changed. The night people realized the Spurs weren't stuck in another rebuild. They were back on the rise, led by a player capable of carrying their history into a brand new dynasty. They're building toward dynasty territory again. 40 points in 26 minutes at just 21 years old, a 37-16 record in his third season, leading the team on both ends of the floor, drawing double teams every night, and still controlling the game with ease. That's not luck or short-term momentum, it's the early blueprint of something bigger taking shape in San Antonio. The Robinson era started with MVP dominance and championship banners. The Duncan era followed with structure, fundamentals, and a decade of unstoppable consistency that brought 5 titles. Now the Wembanyama era is rising, blending both legacies into a modern version of greatness. Elite rim protection, steady leadership, and perimeter skill that fits the NBA's new age perfectly. History doesn't repeat itself word for word, but it always finds ways to echo. And what's happening in San Antonio right now sounds a lot like the start of another chapter that could define the next generation. So here's where the conversation turns to you. Is Victor Wembanyama already the best player in the NBA at 21? Or does he still need a deep playoff run to claim that spot among the league's established superstars? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because how we answer that question says everything about how we define greatness today. If you think the Spurs are building something built to last, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Ball Stories. We're diving into the players, performances, and moments shaping the future of basketball. See you in the next one. Peace.